Welcome into the Beat Sessions, the place for all things music and where we do the listening for you. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about this new record from Nothing But Thieves entitled Dead Club City. They released that on June 30th. This is the fourth studio album from the British quintet and their follow-up to 2020's Moral Panic, a record that saw them expand on their guitar-driven sound by combining elements of electronica and hip-hop. It's a really fun record, high energy, full of dance floor bangers. I'd argue that the majority of the fans of this band saw it coming, felt like the next natural move for these guys, incorporating all those different sounds into their style, and it works. It's a really fun record. And it's a record that I think this band will draw a lot of comparisons to Royal Blood. They're contemporary. That's fine. When I listen to Nothing But Thieves, though, I get an excellent combination of Jeff Lynne and Electric Light Orchestra meets Prodigy. That's what I'm really getting. I love, talk about ELO, the rock and roll element, the big guitars, all that stuff coming at you. But Jeff and that band, they have a propensity for the hook. The pop drive that's there, I think, is fundamental and very important. And Nothing But Thieves is a band that the poppiness of their music, it's almost too much. And I love that. I love that for me personally, they are pushing the envelope with that part of their sound. And it's something that's very difficult to do, in my opinion. I think a lot of bands go for that pop-driven sound and end up sounding too generic and too bubblegummy, especially with the construction of this record, 11 songs, 42 minutes. All of these tracks have so much personality. There's so much going on in such a small span of time, really excelling. And I think as far as the creation of the compositions, those little production elements, this might be this band's best work to date. Really just a fun record. What I love about this record too, talking about the concept, it is their first concept record. And I know when the idea comes up, there's that stigma that's attached to it. I think a lot of bands, they get into it and there's, not always good results on the other side. But I think they went about this project right. Talking about Moral Panic, that album drops. The lead single is Everybody Going Crazy, literally dropped the day after St. Patrick's Day 2020. And I remember managing the bar that night, getting an update on my phone that one of my employers had basically told everybody to stay at home. And everybody's like, oh my God, like this is actually happening. And then the following day, the bar that I manage, they did the same and everything started going down with COVID. So just super ironic, that song and the album Moral Panic conceived of prior to COVID. So there's definitely this prescient element to that record that I love. But these guys, they're not able to tour the record. And I can't imagine what that's like. We've talked about it a bit on the channel, but as an artist, you put out a project like this, you spend years oftentimes, working on a record, mapping out a tour, doing all of these things, and then you got to shut it down. And the energy on a project, I feel like it's really difficult 3 years after the fact to promote something that's been out there that people have listened to. It's not feasible in my opinion. So I love the way that these guys were like, hey, we're still thriving off the energy of this record. Let's keep rolling with that. They put out Moral Panic 2, this cool little EP. And then finally, they just combine the two. So if you're a fan of this band and you own all three projects, I think that's spectacular because they're all three different. And I think you might catch yourself in a mood where, hey, maybe I just want the EP. Maybe I just want part 2, or maybe I just want to listen to part 1, or, blending the two projects together the way that they did, mixing up the track listing and all that stuff. So much fun. So I love that they did that. And I love that in doing so, they worked that out of their system and they were able to move on to their next project, Dead Club City, focusing on this element of concept, creating a city that is dystopian. It's in the future and it focuses on a number of different characters and their stories and the real world situations and issues that are going down. Connor Mason talks about it. He sounds great on this record, by the way. But, with all the concept, with the storytelling that's going on, if there isn't anything grounded in the real world about it, then it loses its ability to resonate. And so that's what's also exceptional about this project. I think the concept is tight. It's focused. Billy Corgan, take a page out of this book. Like, not everything that is considered a concept album or project needs to be 2 or 3 hours long. I think of The Decline by NoFX. Focused, one song, 17 minutes. completely and utterly driven by concept. This is a record that I really enjoy the way that it captures that idea, the the idea of putting together a concept record, the difficulties that are presented there, oftentimes overthinking it, but just the way that these guys kept it straight and focused and delivered a stellar project. This might be one of the best concept projects that's come out in a number of years, and I'm really excited to talk about it. Leads off with Welcome to the DCC, an interesting track because it definitely functions as an opener, both musically and definitely lyrically, but it's great standing alone, and I think it makes an exceptional single. Rollicking guitar to open, freaking love the vocal on this thing. A little bit of percussion, and then the textures build in, and then bang, it hits, goes to work. Killer beat, so bright, catchy. This is a band that, I know I mentioned Royal Blood, but these guys, when I first listened to them, and especially when I first listened to Moral Panic, the Killers. Like, I get that energy of just an outfit that is fundamentally focused on creating rock and roll music, but they want to do so much more with it. Overcome is your second track. You get these light synth wash to open, vocal, and then these keys enter. And I really like the way that they come in. Song gains pace, hits with a great dance groove. I love the guitar solo on this particular song. And that's one of those things where, you talk about this band still being a rock and roll outfit. That's one of those moments on this record where you cannot help but feel that they'll always be grounded in that. Tomorrow is Closed. Your third track opens with light guitar and vocal, lo-fi production on the percussion, and then everything hits for a track that really, it's got this strong 2000 New York garage rock feel. I just cannot help but think of the Strokes when I hear this song. I love the energy, that garage rock and the rock and roll feel. Big drums, a little bit of synth working on it. It's a really fun track. Definitely one of my favorites. Keeping You Around, vocal and guitar, electronic percussion to open on this thing. Moody atmosphere, kind of one of those more mellow moments. I like the way that moody atmosphere continues to materialize throughout the song. It's got definitely more of an electro pop feel than a rock and roll feel, and kind of that like mellow R&B influence working in on it as well. Breezy island feel as well. It's kind of like some reggaeton or reggae that's working in there. It's a track that it's all over the place and really nicely done. I love the bass lick, and it takes hold at the end. It's really nice just in the coda of the track for like the last 20 seconds. The bass just goes to work and has a lot of fun playing around with the driving riff that carries that song. City Haunts, your fifth track, bright vocal and simple guitar to open. I really like the glam feel that is strong on this track. Everybody thinks of T-Rex, everybody thinks of Bowie, but ELO is an outfit. I love the glam element to their sound. Like the dance floor banger feel of this thing, electronic driven breakdown. It is a fun song. Do You Love Me Yet is your sixth track. Sci-fi synth wash to open, ushers in these pulsating synth driven keys that are really fun. It's got a great vocal too, bit of bass that builds in and goes to work. Kind of predictable at that point, but it's quite all right because even with the predictability of some of the intros on this song, like once you get into the meat of the work, they still have these fun little nuances that, you'll catch it. Like these are compositions that even as tight as they are, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you'll keep catching as you continue to listen to this record. Heavier elements that are working in that balance out nicely with some of the like light soaring synth elements that work in the background on this track. Drops an ELO reference on this particular song, so I love that. So much more ELO and lots of other stuff going on this track. Members Only, your seventh song. Heavy guitars, mid-tempo drums, I really like moody electric pop element is the one thing that I identified that's driving this song. Kind of simple, but I think it comes at a great moment, and it really carries nicely into Green Eyes, Sienna. And this is going to have a loose intro. I love the loose feel of the keys and a big soul feel. Really chill song. Probably the one track that really like edges on that moment of balladry. But just a chill moment, comes at the right time in my opinion. Leads into Foreign Language, your ninth song. Bright synths to open. Song hits with this just electro-driven mid-tempo groove. It's got great movement. The movement of the song, the guitars, the different instrumentation is really fun. And leads into Talking to Myself, your penultimate track. It's got this vocal intro with these light synths, thick bass, and these like really chill drums. I really like the percussion and the rhythm on this track. It's got a great lounge grunge vibe. Lots of soul working in this. And this is a song that, given the energy, the way that this thing starts off, coming off of the last few projects as well, like I like this. I like this feeling that's a little more soulful, a little less grounded in that heavy, intense rock and roll element. Pop the Balloon, your final track. Quick vocal intro ushers in this like heavy electronic guitars. And I like this song. This song feels like Daft Punk became a rock band. And it's just a perfect combination of the electronics and the rock and roll working here. Cool breakdown that drifts into this psychedelic territory. And I love it because it feels like they almost just might let this song drift off. You know, this is the coda, this is the creation, but no, they do not do that. It comes back with that energy, closes out strong. I love this record. This is a really fun project. The concept's great, the energy, the flow. There's a lot to really like here. I'm going to give this a massive vinyl please. And I hope you enjoy this project. Hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, and do all the things to help us blow this project up in 2023. Stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We'll see you next time on the Beat Sessions.